Dr. Nadine Bentis, and I'm the Director of Executive Education at the Lee Business School. Thank you so much for joining us today for the information session for the Essential Business Analytics Certificate Program. The following is an overview of our session. We'll be doing a welcome by myself, of course, introducing you, providing an overview of the course dates and the format of the certificate. I will then give an overview of the faculty member teaching the certificate program, Dr. Rajiv Kishore. I'll then hand over the session to Dr. Kishore, who will give a breakdown of each of the courses provided in this certificate program. We'll then conclude the session with the registration and costs and any questions people have. Just to give you some background, the Office of Executive Education is housed at the UNLV Lee Business School, which is AACSB accredited. Just to give you some background, only 5% of business programs worldwide are AACSB accredited. We are one of them and the only one program in Southern Nevada with this accreditation. Just to give you a brief background about the certificate program itself, this is a 5-part course that will provide essential functions and tools on how to use data to make informed insights and decisions. This program is scheduled to start in January 20th, 2024 and conclude by April 13th, 2024. To give a basic breakdown of the courses, they are Introduction to Data Visualization with Tableau. The second course is Advanced Data Visualization with Tableau. The third is an Excel refresher. For a lot of our students and alumni participating in this program, they have been exposed to Excel, but this is a great refresher course and all the new techniques that are available through Excel. Then there'll be a Data Management with Microsoft Access course, and finally a Social Media Network Analytics course with Node Excel. The format of this program is in person. This will be all done in person from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Just to let you know, because it's all-day intensive courses on these Fridays, the breakfast and lunch will be provided. I'll give a breakdown of the registration costs at the end of this presentation, but also to show that this will be offered at our UNLV Blackfire Innovation Center at our Harry Reid Center, a state-of-the-art facility that UNLV owns, located on Sunset Road, off 215 and Sunset. And this is just to give you some images of the space itself, the classroom that the classes will be held in, as well as a networking space right outside the classroom. Now it is my pleasure to give a background on Dr. Kishore. Dr. Rajiv Kishore is Professor of Information Systems and Chair of the Management, Entrepreneurship, and Technology Department at the Lee Business School and is the biggest department in the Lee Business School. He received a Bachelor's of Engineering degree in Industrial Engineering, a Graduate Certificate in Aeronautical Engineering and Production Technology, and Master of Science and PhD degree in Computer Information Systems. Rajiv has 42 years of experience in academia, industry, and consulting. He cut his teeth on big data analytics and systems development in the aeronautics industry and later gained significant experience in a variety of roles in the IT services and strategic management consulting arenas. He switched to academia after obtaining his PhD and has garnered substantial recognition in the field, reflected in his high number of citations, H-index, and 75 million media impressions his research has received. He currently teaches and conducts research in the area of business analytics, healthcare analytics, and social media analytics. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Rajiv Kishore.
Hello, everyone. So thank you, Nadine, for that kind introduction. And thank you for spearheading this Essential Business Analytics Certificate. So let me share my screen and give a little background on each of these classes that we are going to do. So the certificate, you have talked about me, so I'll skip that. Let's talk about Excel. So the dates are a little off. We are doing Excel a little later. But Excel basically will be a refresher. My understanding is that most participants in these classes will be our former MBA, EMBA students, and we cover substantial, provide substantial exposure to Excel during those programs. So this is more of a refresher, but the focus here will be on analytics. How can you use Excel to analyze the stuff? So we'll be talking about refreshing tables, Excel tables and ranges, do data integrity, subtotals, and validations, go into some advanced functions, do what-if analysis. What-if analysis is actually one of the important parts of analytics that we will do. We'll do the scenario manager, we'll do the solver, we will, so understand the kinds of prescriptive analytics that we want to do and what Excel can provide us in that regard. Pivot tables are one very powerful feature of Excel, and we'll spend substantial amount of time on pivot tables. And then we'll do Power Pivot, data modeling, a little bit introduction, online analytical processing, and business intelligence. So that Power Pivot is essentially an extension of pivot tables where we work with external databases and get data. And so we'll also talk about create, get, and transform queries that we'll use to get external data. So that'll be Excel refresher. The Tableau class is broken up into two parts because there's just a lot of stuff to do with Tableau, and I don't think that our former students have had exposure in Tableau in the MBA and EMBA programs. The intro course, basically you will, at the end of the class, you will be able to use Tableau to do visualizations and create a dashboard. So we'll talk about taking off the Tableau basic visualizations, then connecting to different kinds of data using Tableau. Tableau is truly powerful. It can connect to a huge variety of data sources. So we'll cover some of that portion, talk about the Tableau paradigm, and then we'll move beyond basic visualizations. We'll go into a little more detail, different kinds of visualizations. Circle charts, bar charts, different kinds of bar charts, stack bar charts, line charts, per chart. So different kinds of, but still basic visualization. Then we will also cover calculations. We'll start with some very basic calculations and parameters, because ultimately, visualizations will ultimately require data manipulation, which means calculations. So in this class, we will start talking about calculations and parameters, but we will do more detailed, complex kind of calculations in the next class. So we'll wrap this class up with making visualizations that also look great, so formatting kind of things, and then telling a data story with dashboard. So Tableau has three things there. You create sheets, you create dashboards, and then you actually create a story. So we will be covering that. In the advanced class, we will do a level of detailed calculations as well as table calculations. So we'll really, and so table calculations, these are calculations about that are done on database tables or Excel tables, but thinking of a table and performing calculations at a portion of a table or the entire table, right? So we'll get into that. And then we will do some advanced kinds of visualizations in terms of trends, clustering, and different kinds of statistical distribution as well as forecasting. We'll do some advanced charts, and then we will get into dynamic dashboards, and we'll conclude with the idea of the Tableau data model and joins and blends. Joins is essentially about database tables and how do you join them to make sense of the data coming from multiple tables. And so because we have not done databases so far, so this will be a last topic where we will talk about. And once you do databases, this business of joins and blends will become much more clear. So the next class is database management with Microsoft Access. And so this is a tool almost every company on the strip, every casino, every gaming company, all other kinds of companies, they use databases. Many of them use enterprise scale databases like Oracle. We are not going to get into those enterprise scale databases. We'll use a very lightweight database system called Microsoft Access. All of us typically have at work, we have access to Microsoft suite of Office applications. This comes along with that. And so everyone has access, and you can sort of import data from larger databases into this particular database system. So the first thing to understand is why Excel is not enough. And that's the fundamental idea we will convey in this class. because you are managing data of different types in different tables that you cannot do in an Excel spreadsheet or a workbook. For example, on the strip, you might have customers, shows, ticket inventory, employees. And so these are not data about the same thing. So you cannot create an Excel sheet to show all kinds of data pertaining to those different kinds of what we call entities. And so we will bring all them together in Access relational database. And then we'll talk about getting meaningful information from multiple tables using joins and the notion of relational query. So this is where we'll spend time. What are joins, different kinds of joins, inner joins, outer joins, left outer join, right outer join, things of that kind, and then talk about the query language. So Access, again, there is a language called SQL, Structured Query Language, and we are not going to really learn that language. What we are going to do is drag and drop kind of a scenario using Access. We can create relational queries, and then we'll spend time on designing basic forms and reports in Microsoft Access. So you can actually do data input as well as report generation using Access itself. And you can create some very, very complicated the kinds of reports. The last class in this series is social media network analytics, and we will do this using a tool called Node Excel. This tool is built on top of Excel, so we presume a certain level of understanding of Excel. And so, we are doing that class here as part of a series. But if someone didn't want to take that class, they thought they had a understanding of Excel, they can definitely take this class. This class, I think, is truly critical for our environment, our scenario, because social media, you might know or may not know, but hospitality, gaming, entertainment is the biggest industry by far of any industry that uses social media. So both the companies in that space as well as their customers heavily use social media in that industry. So understanding customer preferences, their feedback, you have to understand both the perspectives. You have to understand the content, but also the behavioral and structural features of their social media using the science of networks. So we are going to talk about some of that science in this class. We are going to actually create implicit networks that you don't see. We all understand Facebook and Twitter. Twitter, you follow people. Facebook, you make friends. Those are explicit networks. Definitely, they are very important. But more important are implicit networks that we don't see, but that exist, that we can create. So, for example, if you like a particular tweet and I like it, or you like a particular photo on Instagram and I like it, we share something in common. We both like that thing, right? So the idea of social media actions and behaviors is what we are going to focus on. Like, love, share, retweet, mention, reply, review. There are many other kinds of actions, and so they lead to different kinds of implicit networks. And so using those kinds of networks, we'll be able to identify people in specific social roles. We are very interested, obviously, in influencers, right? So global and local influencers, gatekeepers, bridges, boundary spanners. In forums like Reddit forums, right? Subreddits. There are people who are answering people. There are people who are discussion starters. Who are they? And we analyze all that using these, structural positions in their respective networks. We'll be able to identify clusters and communities of similar people and similar ideas, and then developing recommendation possibilities using network analytics. Guess what? Netflix, Amazon, we all are used to getting recommendations. It's all based on network science and network analytics. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and we'll use this tool in conjunction with data from X, formerly Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit forums for analyzing networks. So I wanted to give that introduction and very open to questions if people are here. Otherwise, we'll be also happy to provide you answers over emails if you want to connect with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kishore, and I'll include my email at the end and forward you any questions that we receive from the audience or from future participants. A few questions I have, though, as people are watching this information session. If someone just has, for example, a very cursory overview of what Access is, just understanding what it is, will they be able to take this course?
Yes. So Access course would not require any specific skill set. A little some exposure to Excel is fundamental. So we all need to have some exposure to Excel, but we are providing the refresher course. If someone sort of is not using it at work, they have forgotten about it, then that course is truly a must, because generally everything sort of we use Excel. So when we do Tableau, we'll be using Excel, connecting with Excel sheets and CSV files. We might connect with databases. We will definitely do a cloud-based data. So I'll have a Google sheet that we will access, but we can access different kinds of servers, etc. But Excel is foundation. Access does not require Excel per se, but the idea of why we need to do Access, why can't we do everything in Excel? If you do Excel, then you understand the limitations of Excel and the benefits of using a tool like Microsoft Access. And then for Node Excel, you definitely need to have a sufficiently, not truly advanced, but sufficient understanding of Excel, because we are going to use, formulas and abilities of Excel that we are going to build upon. So we are going to do visualization, network visualization, graphs using Excel. So this tool is built into Excel as an add-on. And so familiarity, a good level of familiarity with Excel is definitely required for that class.
And if for the Node Excel, if they take the Excel refresher offered on February 24th, that should be enough preparation for the Node Excel class.
More than enough. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then for the Tableau classes, if a Tableau is a concept or that they just heard about and they know what it is and have never used it before, taking the Tableau 1 class should be enough preparation, correct?
Absolutely. So by the end of the first class, they will be doing visualizations on their own. No question about it. That's my goal. Tableau is a very powerful tool. It's an expensive tool, but participants in the program, I believe we'll be able to provide them with free license. And so they will be able to use the tool hands-on. We'll be doing, by the way, I did not mention, everything in this series is hands-on. It's not conceptual. We are going to write the start 8:30 a.m., 9 o'clock, whenever the class starts. We are going to actually maybe a little bit time on talking some basic concepts, but then it's going to be all hands-on. Everyone will have to do stuff in the class, and that's the only way to develop a skill. It's basically by doing hands-on work. So they will definitely, the first class is meant to provide a basic understanding of the Tableau paradigm. There are some specific things in Tableau. For example, dimensions and measures. We need to understand the distinction there. And we need to understand the idea of green and blue. So Tableau has its own sort of language. And discrete variables versus continuous variables. So in Tableau, they are color-coded. So we need to have that understanding of the difference between discrete and continuous variables, and more importantly, dimensions and measures. And so with that basic sort of conceptual background and some general idea about what visualization is, and we'll get started hands-on, and we'll start the first hour itself. We will actually be doing some hands-on visualization with Tableau. By the end of that first class, without any questions, so we'll not get into too many calculations, right? So whatever is in the data, they would be able to visualize, but without much calculation. So calculations we'll get into in the second class.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kishore, for the information. Again, if any questions come up after you're watching this presentation, the final slide that I will be sharing will have my email address on it. I'll be sharing that with Dr. Kishore and send those responses right back to you. So just to conclude our presentation, registration is now open for our certificate program. The total cost of our program is $4,000, but if you wanted to, you can take classes. Per class is $1,000 fee. However, just to let you know, to take Tableau 2, you must take Tableau 1 to do that course. All other courses you can take standalone. However, as Dr. Kishore mentioned in his course overview, for example, to get the most out of Node Excel, you should have a good understanding of Excel, and Excel Refresher will provide that for you, as well as the database management with Microsoft Access. Though Access is a different program than Excel, having an understanding of Excel is necessary to really get all you need to understand what you can learn from Access is if you have a good understanding of Excel. So we're very purposeful in how we built the certificate program, the sequence of the courses, and we'll provide you a holistic to get you really good understanding, and again, a certificate, an essential business analytics certificate. The cost of the program also includes all meals, as Dr. Kishore stated. We start at 8:30. 8:30 is breakfast. Then 9 o'clock, we'll get into the hands-on into the class itself. So all meals are provided in this fee, including all licenses. We do provide students with a Tableau student license that's included in this fee. Textbooks, there will be textbooks provided for each of the sessions. We'll provide those to you as well. Parking and course materials are all included in this fee. So there's not additional fees in addition to this. This is an all-encompassing fee for either per class and or the overall business certificate program. Again, registration is open now, and the deadline to register is January 5th, 2024. That gives us about 16 days before classes start to get all your materials collected. We also will be creating a Canvas course for this class, so I can get you also guest access in Canvas. So we'll be utilizing Canvas as well for the certificate program, which is why for the January 5th deadline to make sure all of those accommodations and licenses can be secured in a timely fashion. Again, if there's any questions, please feel free to email me, Nadine Bentis. My email is on the screen right now. And if you have any questions for Dr. Kishore, also email me those questions. I'll definitely share them on, pass them on to him, and get those responses back in a timely manner back to you. But again, thank you so much for joining today to learn more about the Essential Business Analytics Certificate Program. It's been a pleasure speaking with you about it. And again, I hope you take this opportunity to learn about this great new program being offered to our UNLV, EMBA, and MBA, and other alumni from the Lee Business School. Thank you so much for joining us today, and hope you've enjoyed this session. Thank you. And thank you, and Dr. Kishore.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Nadine.